those people infected or suspect to be infected lost their basic right and freedoms. So you hear about screaming at the balcony of apartment buildings.
Inside the draconian lockdowns in Shanghai,
They want to control everything. They want not only control resources, they want to control the behavior of the people. They also want to control the mind, they control people's thoughts.
today I take a look at one of the largest grassroots movements in the world, one that hasn't gotten nearly enough attention. For the past 2 decades, millions of Chinese have been quietly renouncing their affiliation to China's Communist Party and its affiliate organizations. The movement, called Tuidang, or Quitting the CCP, has recorded nearly 400 million such renunciations. Today, I sit down with Dr. Sen Nieh, Vice President of the Global Service Center for Quitting the Chinese Communist Party. He's also a professor at the Catholic University of America.
Primarily it's about how Chinese people try to break out the bondage from communism.
This is American Thought Leaders, and I'm Jan Jekielek. Dr. Sen Nieh, such a pleasure to have you on American Thought Leaders.
Well, it's my great pleasures and honors to be invited to join your program.
Dr. Nieh, I've wanted to do this interview for some time. You are the Vice President of the Global Service Center to Quit the Communist Party, quit the Chinese Communist Party, where almost 400 million people now have actually volitionally decided to quit the party. And there's a whole incredible story there to be told, which we're going to do today. Because of your work, right now, everybody wants to know about the realities of these lockdowns in Shanghai and Shenzhen and other, huge number of the population of China right now. You and the organization have your ear to the ground in China. What are you seeing over there?
Well, yes, about the Tuidang movements, it's based on the Chinese people who learned about the facts and truths about CCP and the crimes and what have they done to Chinese cultures and people and families. Okay, they've been brainwashed for decades. They may not know about it. Okay, once they know about it, I think most of them want to withdraw from the organization. They don't want to be part of that. The things happening recently, like the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic in Shanghai and in Shenzhen, in Beijing, Changchun, and Guangzhou, as many places, it's the time for Chinese to really experience firsthand, like the lockdown in Shanghai. There are many people realize that the communist leaders only worry about this political stability, okay, and they turn the pandemic into a political task to maintain the stability of the city so they can hold on to the power, but not really the benefit of the residents in Shanghai was 26 million people there.
And we'll go through all of the details of how the Quit the CCP Center works, what it actually does, what does it mean that 400 million people have actually quit. But I guess what we really want to know right now, what a lot of people are asking me is, what's really happening there?
This lockdown in Shanghai is, in Chinese terminology, from the top is zero tolerance. Zero tolerance of COVID-19. It means that they don't want COVID-19 in Shanghai and in China, in any place. But how they do that, they have a long histories of communists doing things. There was the old times when they talk about zero tolerance of sparrows, the bird, okay, which caused damage to the agricultural crops in the late 50s. Zero tolerance of swine flu, okay, those pigs with virus, and then zero tolerance of the avian flu, and this time zero tolerance of COVID-19. But unfortunately, this time the carrier is human beings. Those people infected, okay, those people suspect to be infected. They have a zero tolerance of that. So they want to be out, okay, to be quarantined, locked down, or to be removed from the city so that the city is clean with no COVID-19.
So you're basically saying that this exact same terminology zero tolerance that's being used right now for COVID-19 is the same that was used in the 50s during the Great Leap Forward, for example?
Yes, that's my observation, is that they follow the same philosophy of communist ruling. Okay, when they don't want something, they don't tolerate that, zero tolerance of this and that. And so they happened many times in the past, okay, the way they handle that. This time happened to be COVID-19. So they will lock down the people or relocate the people from the city to contain the virus. Unfortunately, this time, those people affected or infected or suspect to be infected lost their basic right and freedoms. So you hear about screaming at the balcony of apartment buildings. So one after another need food or need medicines.
Okay, so this is, kind of the extreme version of what we know of as lockdowns, which are also implemented in many places in the West. Now, the thing about this is there's actually people being also removed from the cities, or the people that actually test positive are being put in quarantine. Tell me about that a little bit.
Well, it's for the Shanghai cities, and they cannot tolerate to have the infected people in Shanghai city. So some of the people being relocated to nearby province of the cities so that they can claim zero infected in Shanghai. That's a very strange philosophy, but that Shanghai is recognized more than other places in China to protect. So those they call troublemakers, they relocate them to other places. It's no longer problems of Shanghai. I don't know how many people die of COVID-19, but I do know there's possibly a lot of people die of secondary treatments like lockdown, quarantines, forceful things, a lack of medical cares of regular patients. But as long as to the leaders of the communists, if there's nobody or very few people die of COVID-19, then he's good. If people die of non-COVID things, that's secondary. I think that's the mentality of that. Many times they cared about the welfare of the people, citizens or residents in the city or in the community. You can see the Sun Chunlan, who is the vice premier of CCP, she went to Shanghai and told the leaders of Shanghai Communist Party, you have to do this and that. Then she returns to the city again to make sure they follow the central orders to keep control the pandemic, keep the zero tolerance of the COVID-19. Okay, and she's not saying that, take care of the people. She just fight against the COVID-19, and the people may get benefit or may get suffered.